Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good happy hour, or good whatever you might be doing at the time that you are watching this presentation. I'm going to talk today about how to teach an old dog new tricks. More specifically, teaching technology to baby boomers and the added benefits. I am Debbie Lasky. I am an old dog herself, and I am a very proud member of the baby boomer generation. I have made the decision when I went back to school that I was going to work with the older population or any adults that are computer phobic and teach them to be more comfortable with dealing with technology and explaining to them the added benefits of doing so. Baby boomers and longevity. Baby boomers are any individuals that were born between the years 1946 and 1964, or right after World War II. Baby boomers started turning 65 around the year 2010, and they are now the fastest growing generation today. By the year 2050, there is said to be over 80 million individuals who will be the age of retirement or 65. However, due to changes in retirement policies, programs, losing retirement benefits, and as noted by the Congressional Budget Office in the Long-Term Budget Outlook, the increase in the average income loss is causing baby boomers not to retire as fast as their previous generation. Additional from the financial consideration, baby boomers are notoriously known to be hardworking, strong work ethic, and an especially strong drive to get ahead. And all this may make them very difficult to see themselves downshifting into the slower pace of retired life. So, what is a baby boomer supposed to do? So, how are baby boomers really looking at retirement? Well, as it turns out, nearly half of baby boomers are still working, and they don't expect to retire until they are at least 66, if not over. And even 10% of them say they never will retire, according to a Gallup survey. In addition, baby boomers are still a very engaged part of the workforce. They constitute at least one-third, with the other two-thirds being made up of millennials and Gen Xers. So what is a baby boomer supposed to do that has to stay in the workforce because of all the other considerations and or has to return to the workforce and is running up against competition with Gen Xers and millennials? And is there really competition? Well, as you'll see from the next slide, yes, there is. There is a lot of discrimination against baby boomers in favor of Gen Xers. Problems facing the baby boomers regarding the workforce, and especially with the use of technology, is a big factor in trying to get a baby boomer to stay in the workforce or re-enter the workforce. It is also their self-perception and the way others see them when it comes to technology. Baby boomers only see themselves as being 22% tech savvy, whereas the HR professional who is trying to hire the baby boomer or is interviewing the baby boomer and is usually a younger individual sees the baby boomer as being only 6% tech savvy. A lot of this has to do with the differences in the background with respect to technology. The Gen Xers and millennials basically were born with technology when they first came out into the world. They had iPhones, they had iPads, they had computers. They can't talk to each other unless they're texting. Whereas the baby boomer was much more creative. They used snail mail, the old-fashioned telephone, and the lack of exposure to current trends and technology. Because of their computer phobia, baby boomers are way behind in learning about Facebook, YouTube, Indeed. Twitter, anything that may keep them up to times. So, how do we get baby boomers to work with technology? Well, my research that I did indicated that in order to get a baby boomer engaged, you have to find something relevant that they want. For example, and I use the picture of the family looking at grandma and grandpa over the computer to relate to their family long distance. But it could also be them watching a football game on a computer or an iPad, checking their stock market, or checking their medical records on the internet. And because of baby boomers' disabilities, their cognitive disintegration as they get older, arthritis, etc., you need to create an environment-friendly classroom. Lighting must need to be appropriate. The environment needs to be not too hot, not too cold. You have to have larger screens and keyboard sizes, or hopefully touch screens. I'm also a big proponent on peer-to-peer teaching. I always felt that an individual learned better from somebody of his own peer, and whether it be somebody who is in their age group or in their skill group. And you need to relate to real world experiences. Again, how exciting would it be for grandma and grandpa to see their granddaughter or their daughter or their son or their grandson walk down the aisle at graduation, even though they're in Florida and they can't get out, or they're stuck in snow-packed New England or whatever. They still get to see the smiles, the joys, they get to be a part of it. In addition, research has shown that digital technology can help older generations stay healthy and connect with their loved ones. Older people, because of their disabilities, are isolated. Isolation leads to depression. Depression leads to illnesses and ultimately death. By connecting older people to loved ones, to friends and family, it keeps them more active, more alive, and more healthier. Well, how do we do this? Luckily today, technologists are working to help the older people become and stay connected. RealPad just came out by ARP. It is about the size of a mini iPad, but the advantages that it has is that the buttons are bigger, the screen is touchpad, it is ready to use the minute it comes out of the box, and simply requires you to press a button. Also, you can increase the size of fonts with your e-readers, with your iPads. You'll see the individual going from a normal 12-point font, which is on a standard iPhone, to a 36-point font, so he can read and he can see. And look at the smile on Grandma and Grandpa's faces when their little granddaughter is trying to have a tea party with them long distance. You wanted me to talk about why I chose this particular subject for my point of interest, but this is actually the direction I chose for my career. Yes, I put up my Facebook post because this is how it all started. I have a girlfriend in Boston, and we used to talk all the time. But then she started having some financial difficulties and didn't want to talk long distance. And I said to her, "Don't you have Facebook?" And she said over the phone, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, Facebook." And she goes, what?" So the next time I was in Boston, I got her set up on Facebook, and now we can talk all the time. But more importantly, she is one of those unfortunate individuals who did face some sort of age discrimination and lost her job and was out in the workforce trying to find a job and didn't know very much technology. And she would cry to me over the phone. So I tried to set up long distance training sessions for her and got her to learn some Word, some Excel, And because of that, she was able to find some type of transcription position. It also enables me to talk to my grandchildren in Colombia that I can't see all the time. But knowing what I've gone through with the technology growth that I've watched and I've gone through, the friends that I have that are not technology savvy and losing positions or trying to get back into the workforce, I decided that I was going to do whatever I could for my generation, for my group of people, and even younger individuals who are trying to learn technology and are having a tough time. I always think that it's much easier to learn from somebody who's been there and done that than some, and no offense, but some fresh out of school youngster who is not going to be as patient and understanding with an older person who has computer phobia. So that is my story, and hopefully I will be good at what I want to do. Thank you. But my true